Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning and welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Bill Allen sitting in for Winston Chester. And today is Tuesday, November the 29th. And let's take a look at our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center. We have a low of 69 with a high of 78. Winds are shifting out of the south at 10 to 15 with a 50% chance of rain. Hopefully this rain will continue for a couple of 3 days, and you know how badly the drought is here, and also up in the Carolinas where I go and fish with all those forest fires. It's just surrounding all of those creeks up there right where we fish, and they can use it badly, so hopefully that'll continue. Let's look at our tide chart for today. The low is at 7:03 a.m. with a high at 9:30 p.m. And we got a movement of about 1.5 foot on the tide, so pretty decent there. Apalachicola at Bluntstown is 0.7 feet. And flat, not expected to do anything over the next few days. Again, very low down there. A lot of stuff sticking up that nobody's seen in a long time. You have to be careful. We'll talk more about that later on the show. We were down there over the last couple of weekends. Choctawhatchee at Caryville is 1.88, and it is also flat, not expecting anything for the next 2 or 3 days, and then maybe a bump up with some of this local rain that we'll get, which affects that a little bit more. I've gone to a new site for the solar lunar tables that gives me major times and minor times for the days. And it also will rate each day. This is supposedly a 4-star day if you can find some time to get out. But the minor times are 6:37 to 7:37 this morning, 5:20 to 6:20 p.m. this afternoon, but the major fishing and hunting time today is listed as noon to 2 o'clock. So we'll see how that works out. New tables, but I really do like them better. It breaks things up a little bit. We got a very special guest. We're going to be talking about the river a lot and what's going on in the Howards Creek area. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Joined again by my long, old friend, Bill Shields.
Keep talking like that, won't be friends long.
Yeah. Now a couple of weeks ago, we went down to the river on opening day down at Howards Creek, but just basically had a free day, didn't even take any guns, but we rode around looking for ducks and scouting squirrels and those kind of things. But a long-standing tradition, last weekend you were down there with your family as usual, and tried to take advantage of some of what was going on. But let's talk about, it's low. There's stuff down there that you haven't seen in maybe forever.
I may have seen it this low, but I haven't seen it any lower than this. And I don't know if you get any lower than this. You'd be able to walk across the river.
Yeah, some places you could, I guess. But a lot of those bee aprons are up that nobody's seen in a long time.
Yeah, you can find
boat frames.
You can find some stumps that you didn't know were there.
Yes, sir.
You've been running over.
Yeah, we found one in the back of Harrison's there.
Yeah,
we didn't necessarily know was there. But to talk about the squirrel population, the food is a ton of food out there for them.
There is, and there's if you're a squirrel hunter, I've seen years where there were more, but there's plenty. You can pretty much kill all the squirrels you want. I'm not nearly as mad at them as I used to be,
No.
So I don't, we'll kill a few to eat.
Don't want to spend 3 hours cleaning.
No, I don't want to spend that long at the cleaning table. But we'll clean enough to eat maybe one meal and pretty much be done with it. But we didn't have a problem killing what we wanted. Duck hunting, different story there. You know, the weekend that you and I were down there, we went up in the head of one of the creeks down there, and there were we come around the corner. There must have been 150 wood ducks.
Yeah.
It looked like the creek.
Out.
It looked like the creek got up and flew off. Come back the next weekend, got all set up. One duck.
Well, they picked up that calendar.
Yeah,
they know what's going on.
They kind of knew what it was. I kind of think maybe what happened is the squirrel hunters on opening weekend had them all pushed, to one area, because there were a lot of guys down there opening weekend, and a lot of pressure on them. So I don't know. Maybe they just ganged up.
Yeah.
Safety of numbers. I don't know.
We were mainly, riding and looking. Like I said, just had a good way to kill a day, right?
Yeah.
Check it on the houseboat. But that's a tradition for a lot of families, and mine as well. We're not going until the second weekend in December this year, but all the camps down there are full. There's plenty of places to camp. It's very dry, and there's a lot of people squirrel hunting down there, and and a lot of guys like to just ease down the creeks with the trolling motor or the flow of the water and shoot them from the boat like that. But then there's a whole lot of people who enjoy walking, with the 22, and because there's not a whole lot of water anywhere but the river, that's where the squirrels are going to be. So, if you're either way, if you're working from a boat, you need to really know where you're shooting.
Yeah, but be mindful, because there are still people that hunt on the hill. And,
a lot of
people are out walking, and you're shooting from a boat. Likewise, if you're hunting on the hill, be cognizant that there may be somebody coming by you on a boat with a trolling motor being real quiet. So, just be careful.
Yeah.
Know what you're shooting at. Know what's behind what you're shooting at.
That's true. A lot of guys out there with the 22s, just shoot high and not towards the river. But also, it's a really, really good idea to have an orange hat on, or buy one of these cheap vests that you can stick on if you're walking. Like you said, just when it's there's a lot of places to hide down there, and just a safety's sake, it just makes sense to use it when you're on the hill. Squirrels like deer, they're colorblind anyway.
Well, I just don't even wear a hat. I just kind of let the
and
glare.
Then you have to be aware of the people he's with being blinded by the glare, maybe not seeing clearly when they shoot. So just something to be aware of. There's a lot of squirrels and a lot of people. Exercise safety, wear a little bit of orange, and know where you're shooting. You don't want to shoot anybody. So anyway, let's take this first break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We want to continue talking about the river and the variety of things that you can do down there. Ducks. Now, you've gone through several and still using several different decoys.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about the more automated decoys that are working now or should be working?
Well, I there's a lot of different ways you can decoy birds. One of the things with wood ducks is when you're hunting in the creeks and things like that, you have a limited amount of time when a bird's flying over to draw their attention, because they're it's not like they're flying over a lake, so you got to get their attention. So some movement is good, and I like to use a jerk string on a duck, to kind of move them, make them look like they're moving through the water a little bit, and hit a call a couple of times, and hopefully get their attention.
There are also some automated.
There are some automated ones. I've got
high tech.
High tech. I've got a couple of decoys that are called wobblers that actually have one of those. I'm trying to think. It's a. You know what a wobble ball is? Mm-hmm. It's got a wobble ball in it, and you do it so the duck just sits there. The decoy.
My grandson got one for Christmas last year. I played with it about 3 hours.
Well, you can get one in a duck decoy now, and it'll actually sit there and put a ripple on the water, put some movement, just that. Then there are, of course, you got the mojos that have the spinning wings, and then you got strutters that, you know, like simulated duck rising up in the water when they strut, and you know, you got a lot of different things like that. It's just they're toys, Bill. They're toys.
They are toys.
You know, you fish a lot. You got all kinds of toys that you use. It's kind of the same way when you duck hunt. You know, just try different stuff.
Yeah.
See what works.
Kind of reminds me of we had a common buddy, JR, who if it was for sale on TV to fish with, he bought it.
The proponent of the banjo minnow.
The banjo minnows, these battery operated light up, but he had it. It reminds me of Ted Cutt when he's got all that stuff hanging on him. If you sell it on TV, it's got to work. But I mean, I've hunted over them a little bit when you've had them out there, and they seem to be pretty effective. You still have to be kind of proficient at your calls, right?
Well, you know, a lot of people say that you can't call a wood duck. Wood ducks won't respond to a call. I beg to differ. They will, you know, and they will decoy. It's a little bit different than, you know, a mallard or some of your puddle ducks or diving ducks and things like that. But you can make it happen. You know, you're not gonna bring them to an area that they don't want to go.
Right.
You know, you can't
It's
make
more
them
of
decoy in a parking lot, but you know.
an attention getter,
Right.
something to look, see
Yeah.
those decoys.
Absolutely.
It's and you know, in there it's I mean, it's when you're up these creeks, just trying to find a little indention or find somewhere where these ducks are you know, holding up where they like to come to and feed. It's tight in there.
Yeah.
Very tight. Now what are you shooting? You're still shooting the 20?
Sometimes I shoot a 20 when I'm in there. Depends on how tight it is, but you know, I like to shoot a 20 if I can. Sometimes I shoot a 12, but I like my little 20 gauges. I enjoy shooting them. So a lot of times I'm shooting a 20.
Now, are you loading these shells?
No, I don't load anymore.
That's
It got a little dangerous.
that's good. That's good.
I loaded some that, you know, when you load shotgun shells, there are recipes, and you need to, unlike cooking,
Be able to read.
well, yeah, that helps. But unlike cooking, where you can kind of add your own touch to it, not such a good idea when you're dealing with gunpowder and grams and drams and things like that. Explosive materials, I'll put it like that. You can make fire come out into the barrel that long.
We're laughing. How many years? 20 years ago? 20? I don't know. Bill started loading shells and was so proud. He brought me this box, wanted me to use these on squirrels. It's just a special 12 gauge for my old 870. So we were out in the boat, and I was with my two sons who were, I don't know, 8 and 10 or 10 and 12 or somewhere like that. And it went around for a while, and they killed a couple. And finally, I saw one was a little bit further out, and I decided to take him. And I pulled the trigger, and it sounded like a howitzer had gone off in my hand. I knocked down 2 trees, and a hole in the bushes about that big, and dislocated my shoulder.
Well, sometimes you have to clear out a spot where you can act, you know, you do bush cutter. A little
Hiding
bit.
in the bushes were not scared both my boys to death. It's still the reason I can't hear in this ride here, I'm sure, anymore. But you can get a little heavy on those kind of loads. But yeah, in general, it's best that you don't do that anymore. But was there a lot? I mean, did you scout the rest of the day? Did all the hunters just push the ducks out, or just?
Oh, there were ducks. You could see ducks flying. They just weren't interested in coming, you know.
Yeah.
They weren't interested in coming. I don't know where they were going, but they weren't going where I was.
Yeah,
you know,
and
where they had been the week before.
And it's tough too, you know, when it's low and squirrel season's open at the same time. That you're occupying the same space as a lot of them, and that keeps them moving. Whereas in the past, when the water's high, and then you have, you know, creeks and low areas that hold enough water to bring ducks in, then now you can go in the hill and go set up on them.
I'm not sure how many birds we had down there were migratory birds. A lot of them, I'm sure,
True.
were local birds, but
True.
we just hadn't had enough cold weather to push, any great number of birds down here.
Right.
So,
Well,
they're
it's like,
going to move, and here
Yeah.
today, gone tomorrow. If you got birds, you better shoot them.
yeah. And same thing with dove season. We talked to I don't know how many people, and just nobody really had any birds whatsoever. You got a
Right.
few local birds, but we haven't had any cold to push them down. But over
Right.
this past week, it got a little cool and made it a little better. So you're getting some birds, coming in. But
Well, I'll tell you one
It's
thing.
tough
You
right
go down
now.
there right now, you better carry your mosquito repellent with you. If you get off the boat and get in the woods, oh my.
yeah, it's
Man.
rough. You
Whew.
get eat up out there if you're
It'll-
not
it'll tote
you're
you
not
away.
careful. No kidding. All right, well, let's take this break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Here's what I've really been wanting to hear: bush hooks, and the super secret sauce that you made.
I can't tell you about it. Super secret. No, I just.
Is it a secret to the catfish?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You always, in my opinion, the best thing you can bait a bush hook or a trot line with crawfish. But
And we have baited them with everything from cut mullet
yeah,
to crawfish to shrimp,
but
blood bait.
generally speaking, crawfish is about the best as far as I've ever used. About the best thing. So anyway, but you got to have some water in the ditches and things to be able to get crawfish. So.
And
And under drought conditions like we're under, you kind of look for other things to fish with.
yeah.
So
And
anyway,
you also need your adult sons to work the drag to get
absolutely
them out
to
of that.
run the drag to get the crawfish. So anyway, looking for other alternatives of things to do. I've heard people talking about soap and things like that. So
Which we've never caught a catfish on ivory soap in our life.
I never have. But anyway, so I started looking online and I found recipes for making soap, catfish soap to use for catfish bait. So kind of like I did with the gunpowder deal, I kind of added to
If the little's good, more would be better.
Yeah, added some extra things to it. So anyway,
But
I
I
made
mean,
some.
this was a process, right?
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean, you
yeah,
had to order stuff. It had to be cooked.
Well, it's lye and lard, and I mean it's just like Granny used to make, soap or great Granny for most of us, but used to make soap years ago, and it's kind of the same process. You just add different things to it for different scents or flavors or whatever. I just basically made some soap and added Menhaden milk to it, and to give it a little scent. And I used it, and we caught some.
And if I remember correctly, you made it in the house, and your wife was very proud of you when she got home.
True. Proud, probably not the word I'd use. But,
Not the first word?
Not the first word. Yeah, you want to make it outside. It's a good plan to make it outside. But anyway, used it and while I was down there, and we caught a few catfish. There again, didn't catch them like we probably would have if we had used crawfish. But we did catch.
This
three,
basically
four.
came out as a semi-solid, like soap, right?
Yeah.
And
Now
you
I
just-
tried to. One of the problems I've always had with baiting with soap, and there again, I don't know what to do, but if I'm using ivory soap and things like that, is actually getting it on the hook without it breaking and just crumbling.
Right.
So I made this a little more creamy, I guess, for a better. It was a little, I don't know, gummier or whatever. Tried to adjust the recipe where it would be a little more pliable and you could run a hook through it without it breaking into pieces or whatever. So anyway, seemed to work to some degree. It was. I'm always trying to experiment with something.
Sure.
And so I'll do it again.
And that
outside.
was the bush hooks, right?
Yeah, running bush hooks.
Didn't put out the new.
No, I didn't put out the trot line this time.
300-yard trot line?
No, I just did the bush hooks. We set a few of those. But and speaking of bush hooks, just kind of remind people especially when the water's low like this, if you don't take your bush hooks up when you leave, then you've got hooks dangling out of the water. We saw a lot of it this week. We saw a lot of bush hooks where the hooks were exposed out of the water and they're just swinging in the air. If somebody's not paying attention to what they're doing, you could obviously hook somebody up pretty bad. I mean, it doesn't take but just a minute. When you go to run your hooks that last time before you leave, hang the hook in the tree, cut the line off, do something, get it out of the way where it's not a hazard for somebody else down there. Be thinking about that other person that might not be paying attention.
It gets hung up on the boats, hung up on you. We've even seen over the years, and birds caught up in them and everything else when you put it up there. So it doesn't take long. Just clip them off, bring them with you, reuse them, or throw them away back at the hill. It's just like your fishing line. When you get those professional overruns or whatever knots that you're cutting out, that doesn't go in the water. Put it in your pocket, put it somewhere, and bring it back with you. But they are a tremendous amount of fun. I love running those bush hooks. It's up, getting run up in the bushes, doing it. So you have to have somebody in front of the boat, not afraid, or at least could get over snakes.
At least when I'm running the boat in the back of the boat.
With these in the back. But that's what we do. I do with my grandsons, and we've had some tremendous successes over the year with trot lines. Just running those things and just wear them out.
We've had a lot of fun if you're down there camping or staying for a few days or whatever. Running bush hooks or trot lines is a lot of fun. Something to do at night.
Well, we used our time. We got to get out of here. Hope you enjoyed this. And like I said, if you see the opportunity to do something good for somebody, take that chance, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.